Hey everybody, welcome back to Tales from the Tool Shed. Today's video is going to be a little different. Today I want to talk about safety. And it's not a fun topic, no one likes to talk about it. And I'm going to make an ongoing series about safety. Something happened in the last video I was filming, and I haven't released that video yet, but something happened and I had a moment where I realized I just messed up. Yeah, I messed up, and that could have cost me my shed. It could have cost me my shop. It could have cost me my house. That was I had a chance of fire, and I was filming that video. And this, like I said, this is gonna be first of many safety videos, and I feel it's really important to go down. So this is gonna be a little bit of story time, and then a little bit of prevention and what you can do to eliminate, can't eliminate it, but reduce fire in your shop or shed or workspace. First, let's go into the quick causes of fire, and it can be anything from an overloaded circuit to open flame, obviously, and then it could be a light bulb. It could be something as harmless as, you know, a sparking outlet, or something as bad as an overheated motor on your woodworking machines. Coming from where I've been, I've never been in a fire. I have family that has lost their whole houses due to fire, and it scares the living snot out of me. I respect fire highly. Okay, it's a little bit of story time right here. When I was a residential house painter, we used these drop lights, and Thor can attest to this, and so could Dave, that these drop lights were just a light bulb and a little spring thing. Actually, I think I got one. Yes, I do. These things are what we used, but they didn't have the guard, this thing on it, and I don't know how to take it off of this one, so I'm not even going to bother. But it was just the Libero light bulb, as it is. Forget it. Anyway, just Libero light bulb, none of this heat shield or light deflector diffuser, because we used to need light in all directions. And when you're spraying lacquer in custom homes, we're talking 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 square foot custom homes, 2,500 up to 4,000 or 5,000 square foot luxury custom homes. Everything back in the 80s and 90s was stained in lacquer. Before paint was popular, it was stained in lacquer. Yeah, so you had all your baseboards, all your window casings, all your door trim, all your doors, all of your specific moldings were all wood. And when they were wood, it was the easiest way to finish it was stain and lacquer. You would take your lacquer stain, that's what we use prevalently, and it was just a pigmented, reduced lacquer and thinner, and you'd add different thinners to it to make it more sprayable. And anyway, you'd spray it and you just wipe it off, and pretty soon the whole house would become saturated in the air saturation level with this mist from the spray. And then you turn around, you put lacquer on it, and all that time you have this technology, a light bulb on a stick, as your light source, because it's a brand new home. They haven't done the electrical yet, they haven't done the trim out yet, they haven't got any of that except for one plug-in. Usually the utility room would feed everything that we needed. When it was winter time in the dark, we relied on those lights exclusively. So now you got LEDs, now you got whole homes that are already wired and ready to go, but for the most part it was fast, down, dirty lighting. And we'd have a whole house filled up with these lacquer fumes and lacquer in the air. You could actually see a fog you're standing in without breathing apparatus on, but you're still seeing this in the air. And if you were to drop one of those, and we did occasionally, the chance was there of a flash off. A flash off is where that air saturated with lacquer, thinner, VOCs, any of that, has a chance of reaching combustion point, and then the whole house would flash off, blow the windows out, one big fireball, and they'd be over in a second. But that amount of trauma never happened to us, but I know a painter that it did happen to. So they lost every single window. They were hurt, not life-threatening, and didn't cause a fire of the house, but the instant damage was done by the mass explosion of rapid expanding gas and flame and whatnot. But it was over the second it started. It was over in a second, and but that's the kind of thing that can happen in using light bulbs. And I don't know how I got down the road of talking about this, but I'm going down the road of other stuff that's, and then talking about staining. When I was going down stain, so you got your stain, and then right off camera, I've got a giant metal container that has all the stains I had from my cabinet shop, and there's probably 50 different colors of woodworking stains in there, from lacquer-based stains, lacquer stains, oil-based stains, and even some, most prevalent is xylene-based stains, or benzene-based stains. Those are really rich, vibrant colors that you can get. They're more like a dye, and they're really easy to work with. So I've kind of swatched over everything I did from oil stains to these xylene or benzene-based stains. Again, very, very nasty chemical. When you're wearing your full PPE, gloves, mask, everything you need can to cover up. You cover up all your skin, and you go at staining. And you spray on, wipe it off, rotate your rag, spray on, wipe it off. Pretty soon you've got abundance of these oil or lacquer or xylene-based stained rags. And you throw them on the countertop, and pretty soon 1 turns into 5, turns into 20, and all of a sudden you've got a giant pile of rags. And these can self-combust. Not on really a cold day, and not really with overcast, but on a sunny summer day, you leave a pile of these on the countertop and the sun comes in, these things will get hot. I mean, they will be hot to the touch, and pretty soon they can burst up into flames in a second. That's spontaneous combustion of oil rags. So in my shop, I used to have a utility sink, and I keep a 2.5 gallon bucket of water, and those rags would go in there, and it stunk, and it's slimy, and it's sticky, but it was always there, and it was always ready to stick more rags into. They put them in the bag and get rid of the whole lot at one time, but they're soaked because if they're wet, they can't catch on fire. Not an issue. That's how I made sure I had no fires in my shop for the most part. The other way I did that was on really hot days in the summer, when I'd leave for the day, I turned all the breakers off. I shut all the power off to the whole building except for one light circuit and the security cameras. I had to turn everything off. All the 220, all the 120, all the machinery was all cold. So, because in your wiring, there's a temperature rating, and based on how many watts and and the ambient temperature, and you get above that, and that wire can actually get really hot itself, overloading, and then can cause fire. So, a couple of reasons why there's fire. Also is electrical motor overload with the brushes. They throw a spark. If you ever look inside an electric motor when it's running, you can see sometimes little sparks agitating in there on the armature and whatnot. Also, even sanding. On a big sander, if you put a piece of wood through it, like a cabinet door. Do I have a cabinet door handy? I do not have a cabinet door. Well, on a shaker style door, you put a door together with 5 pieces of wood, and it makes a frame and an inset door. Yep, I got it. Fire can also happen with sanders. And I know it's hard to explain, but here's a cabinet door that I made years ago. And to assemble a cabinet door, you put nails to lock the pieces together. Bad example. So there's the tongue and the groove. So to lock them together during the build process of the door, I put little nails right here. And then throughout the panel to press the panel to the good side. This is the back of the door with the hinge holes. And then you press it to the good side, which is the A side, and it looks a lot better, and then you caulk it and make it look nice. But these nails sometimes don't seat all the way. And you put it through a big sander, and that abrasive hits those metal nails and it'll throw a spark. That metal spark gets sucked up the dust collector all the way through the dust collector, and guess where it goes? Right into a bucket of dust. If that ember travels that far and still a lit ember, there's a chance it could land in that bucket of dust, a bag of dust, and sit there and smolder and smolder and smolder for days, weeks, possibly. And then erupt into flame eventually. I haven't seen that happen, but the capability is there. So I really got to emphasize shop equipment, fire hazards, heat, fire hazards, hot day, fire hazards, even light bulbs, fire hazards. And like I was the other day, blowtorch, fire hazard. That's what I screwed up the other day. Used the blowtorch next to a combustible surface, and it could have been a bad day. But anyway, fires are mostly preventable. I'm not going to say they all are, because that's not exactly true. But I'm going to say you can take steps to mitigate your risk against fires by cleaning up the shop. Don't leave a lot of dust sitting around. Make sure your pathways in and out of your dust areas are good. Fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers. I probably, within reach of me, I see 1, 2, 3 fire extinguishers, and this is a small shed, so I've got ample amount of fire extinguishers. And make sure they're charged up and good to go, and that they are up to date. So you make sure your fire extinguishers. It's important to have fire extinguishers around, and they won't stop a large fire, but a small fire will put it out. In my shop, before I had it a long time ago, it burned one time. So the owner that owned it when I was there, they were really stickler in having all the fire suppression, and even in the spray booth, which had its own fire suppression system, up to code and always ready at the wheel. Anyway, also another risk of fire is, like I said, oily rags, sparks, heat, abrasives, just different ways that you can think of that fire is possible. You want to avoid these at all costs and be prepared for when they happen, if they happen. So fire is the big one to me, and I'll put some more videos out like this, safety wise, about specific tools and stuff that I find is pretty important. And thanks for your time.